This is Harriet Grayson, your host and producer for Community Culture Showcase. And we're way into summer, and there's so many fabulous summer events coming our way, and I don't want you to miss any of them. So I want to talk about today, I have some wonderful musical guests and a host with me. We're going to talk about the Mystic Blues Festival, which is coming up this coming weekend in August on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we want you all to come out and enjoy blues music. I love that stuff, and I hope you'll love it too. So joining me is Leigh Kaufman.
Yes.
So tell us, Leigh, tell us a little bit about it. Where's it going to be, the dates, all the stuff.
Oh, we're so excited. And of course, I'm here with Leigh and Gabriel, and I want them to feel free to jump in. We are thrilled. This is our 4th year of the Mystic Blues Festival. And it's grown every year to the point where now we're feeling we need to evolve a little bit. While the Shipyard in Mystic was a wonderful place to birth the festival, we've really outgrown it. And I know the wonderful people, the Mystic Blues, the Mystic Shipyard agree with us.
Right.
So we've moved over to the North Stonington Fairgrounds.
Okay.
We're really excited. It's got a real big fest feel to it. Mm-hmm. They've welcomed us in. We're going to have a much larger stage this year. Room on the grass for you to bring a chair or a blanket and set up. We're even allowing this year topper tents. In a special area. Don't expect to come and put your tent in the front row.
Right.
But if you're someone that maybe requires a little more shade or you want to really bring a crew of people, you're more than welcome to do that. And on that stage, and that's just one of the stages, but on that stage, we have really orchestrated a really wonderful lineup for this year that we're super, super proud of.
So tell us, it starts on Friday, this coming Friday.
It does, Friday the 12th.
August 12th. What's the time?
Well, we're going to open the gates at 4:30.
4:30 p.m.
Our first band on Friday hits the stage at 5:30, and the music is going to go well into about after 10, I would say.
Okay.
Depending on how many encores we can get. I know that's tough with a festival, but Friday night we'll kick off with Room Full of Blues.
All right.
Of course, a favorite and so well known even nationally. They're going to kick it off for us in great style. Next up, we're going to have Christine Ullman and Rebel Montez.
Okay.
So, most of you might know her as the Beehive Queen, of course, longtime vocalist, over 20 years with Saturday Night Live. But she's such a favorite around our area and down south, Muscle Shoals area. But she is back for her 4th year. She has been such a huge support, both behind the scenes and on the stage, and we are thrilled that she's going to be with us again.
Right.
So she's going to be the second one up, and then we're going to cap off Friday night, our kickoff, with the Fabulous Thunderbirds.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm sure are very well known to so many of the people out there, your viewers, and we're thrilled about that. And you know, it's a great Friday night, but we want everyone to know that that's just the kickoff.
Right.
Saturday and Sunday, we have 2 full days that our gates will open at 10:30 in the morning.
On both Saturday and Sunday?
On both Saturday and Sunday.
Got some highlights for Saturday?
Absolutely. You know, I don't want to miss anybody. So I will mention again that all the details about everything that we're speaking about today can be found at mysticbluesfestival.com. Of course, we have a wonderful Facebook presence.
Right.
Instagram. You can really, you know, Google us and find out everything you need.
Okay.
So you can go there to get the specifics. But yes, Saturday, we've been really touting our headliner. I'm going to start there with Dr. John and the Night Trippers.
Okay.
Of course, the king of funk out of New Orleans. We are thrilled that he is going to be with us, with Sarah Morrow, his trombonist, who has really been a force the last couple of years and helping get out some new, fresh music and wonderful live performances. Right before Dr. John, we have a band out of Canada that this is going to be their very first time playing in the U.S. with us.
Oh, okay.
They're wonderful. They were just up for a Juno this year, which is the Canadian equivalent of the Grammys. So while they did not take home Best Blues Album, it was obviously a great honor to be nominated. And I can tell you from, you know, just playing them and listening the last year, I'm so excited to see our guests reaction to this wonderful band. So Blackburn, Neil and the Vipers, of course, Greg Piccolo, well-known names, Bad News Barnes and the Brethren of the Blues Band.
Oh, okay.
We've had them before. It's a really interesting hokum style of blues to kind of mix it up a little bit. And Willie J. Law's band. I know there was a lot of buzz last year. They were at the Mystic Blues Festival and did such a great job that by popular demand, they're back. I'm going to throw in Tosh Sheridan Trio, too, because that's who's going to kick it off for us, and that's not fair not to mention him. So that is all on Saturday.
Wow.
Which, again, I also want to throw in there, while we're talking about the music, there's so many other things, too, that we'll mention as we go. Because I don't want people to think that they're not going to get fed or have drinks. It's a really expanded
event. And there's all kinds of options and packages people can pick up if they go to your website. You can actually buy your tickets in advance on the website. So if you want to save a few dollars, that's certainly one way to go. You can actually attend all 3 days. Again, some kind of package deal that you guys...
Either if you want to...
Yeah, you can purchase a day pass for any one of the individual days or a weekend pass.
Right.
This year, one of the things that's different is that we have two different tiers of seating. We have lawn seating, which Ali had mentioned, and we have premium seating in front of the stage.
Oh, okay.
For that actual seat. We're encouraging, people to come out regardless of, whether they want to spend the whole weekend and make a vacation out of it.
Right.
Or just pop in and check out one of our days. And Sunday, we have some amazing performers as well. If I can jump in.
Sure, absolutely. Go right to it.
On Sunday, opening the festival, we have Crystal Livingston, who is a gospel artist from the New Haven area. And she performed last year on the side stage, and everybody was just blown away. We also have Jay Stolman and Debbie Davies with special guest Debbie Davies. Debbie Davies is a guitar virtuoso that has played with Albert Collins, has had a wonderful career, solo career, and Jay has been doing some dates with her, so we feel very fortunate to have her.
Right.
And then we have Paul Gabriel, my friend here. Paul was nominated for a Blues Music Award a couple of years ago, had an album produced by Duke Robillard that did very well, was getting a lot of play on blues radio, and is a blues warrior from Connecticut. He's been, performing, playing this music out there since the late 60s. So we're very honored to have Paul at the festival. Then we have one of our mutual favorites playing, Ronnie Earl and the Broadcasters. Ronnie Earl, of course, was in the Room Full of Blues. He was the guitar player after Duke Robillard, and is just an amazing player. I mean, the guy turns himself inside out every time you see him play. He just plays with such soul and conviction. And our headliner for the day is Dumpster Funk. I'm sorry.
Dumpster Funk.
Yes. Now
that's a tongue twister.
It is a bit of a tongue twister, and I was almost thinking a little ahead of myself. The leader of the band is Ivan Neville, and of course we all recognize the name Neville from the Neville brothers. Ivan is Aaron Neville's son, and Ian Neville is Art Neville's son, and Art Neville played in the Meters, I believe. So we have this New Orleans royalty all weekend coming to the festival with Dr. John, with Ivan and Ian Neville, and the other guys in the band are phenomenal. They're just a very unique group that brings in elements of obviously blues music, jazz music, soul music, and funk music. They play some things that are rock, but the thread that goes through their music is that New Orleans sound.
Will you guys be willing to show us what you can really do? Play a piece for us?
Absolutely.
I think you could talk us.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. So my audience is loving it. So tell us what you're going to play.
Do you want to do Chitlins?
Yeah, let's do a little Chitlins Concarne. It's kind of a traditional blues jazz type of a tune. It's a really great song. It just happens to be what we're going to open our set with.
Oh, really? Oh, so that was fortuitous. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
is a hot spot for blues. I've been down in New
Orleans.
Well, that's it. Tell me where that kind of stuff started.
I mean, blues is everywhere. If you look for it, it really is. I mean, in this part of the state, anyway, southeastern Connecticut and South County, Rhode Island, there was a whole scene in the late '60s, early '70s that sort of centered around Westerly and the Knickerbocker Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Room Full of Blues sort of was birthed in that club, and a lot of blues bands came up through on tours, routed through there, and that was one of the stops along the way. So a lot of the guys that were in Roomful got to know the guys from the Fabulous Thunderbirds, Kim Wilson and Jimmy Vaughn, and eventually what happened was Preston Hubbard, the bass player from Roomful, and Fran Christina ended up befriending some of the T-Birds and ended up playing in the Thunderbirds. So we had this unusual sort of like cross-pollination between the Austin guys and the Westerly guys. And out of that band came a lot of other musicians that ended up having incredible solo careers. Greg Piccolo was a founding member, tenor sax player in the band. After Duke Robillard left and pursued his solo career, he stepped in as the lead singer. And that's when Ronnie Earl joined. So you're going to notice a lot of the people on our schedule are come from that whole group of people that sort of set the tone for this blues scene, if you want to call it that, in this area. It's
interesting because I live in Westerly and I'm familiar with the Knickerbockers. So and it in fact as a performance venue has sort of now gotten fixed up quite a bit, renovated, and it's a showcase. And I mean, people literally, you could come on the Amtrak train.
Yep.
It is literally across the street from an Amtrak train station.
On Railroad Ave.
Yeah, exactly right.
This might be the perfect time to put in a word about our after party. As we're talking about this wonderful weekend of music, what better place could we find to have an after party than the Knickerbocker?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, again, more information at mysticbluesfestival.com. But again, if you don't want the fun to end, which I'm sure we'll all be thinking about that, that's going to be coming up as well.
That'll be Sunday night. So our last band, Dumpster Funk, ends at 7:00, and our after party at the Nick starts at 8:00 and 8 till close. And I'll be hosting a jam session with Bob Christina, who is Fran's brother, and also a fantastic blues drummer, well known in New England. And I've got Brian Rizzuto, former Roomful bass player, joining us, and we're going to play a little bit and open it up to people.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
That's
going to be a really
wonderful.
Time.
So 4 years ago, it was you who got the idea, let's have a blues festival?
Oh, well, no, I've thought about it for a very long time, but that is absolutely yeah.
So what happened? 4 years ago, you just said.
4 years ago, I had an idea, more of a pipe dream than anything else, about starting something that spotlighted musicians that had been playing this music, that had been stalwart in their sort of focus on playing roots and blues music.
Right.
And we've got a lot of talent in this area.
Right.
And I really wanted to honor some of these players that I've been seeing since I was a teenager, sneaking into bars, perform. I saw Neil and the Vipers open up for Stevie Ray Vaughan in 1987 at the Norwich Rose Arts Festival. I mean, I was never the same after that, I think we, as musicians, Paul can attest to this, we have moments where we see musicians that inspire us. And, of course, in my career as a player, I've followed that path, but I always wanted to do something, sort of my civic project,
right?
Where to create something that had an organization that had longevity to it and that would be there for us in this area and to represent all the great talent we have.
And I might add that the although it doesn't appear, but the mysticbluesfestival.com actually represents a nonprofit organization.
Absolutely.
So you might think it's a commercial project, but in fact it's not.
No.
It is, I guess, a tribute to blues here in this area.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cultural event, for this area that showcases some of the incredible talent that we have. And, in addition to that, we want to, bring in, talent from outside of the area as well.
Yeah, from New Orleans, you betcha.
And, I think blues music is, many other people have said this far more eloquently than I, but it's a foundation music. Regardless of what you're into, it is the basis of American music, and it ought to be preserved and celebrated.
Right. So, Paul, what got you started playing guitar? I mean, it was when you were 5 years old. You picked up the guitar and said, "Hey, this is for me."
Almost. Actually, the real culprit was the Ozzy and Harriet show.
Oh my God.
And I used to wait for the end of the show when Ricky Nelson would come out and play. And I used to sit there. I used to watch the show with my grandmother, and I'd say, "That's what I want to do." She goes, "Oh yeah, okay, good." And she actually bought me my first guitar.
Oh, that's sweet.
And my grandparents supported me amazingly throughout their lives, for me to do what I really wanted to do. I knew that was actually, I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
And probably at that point, I didn't really know that it was going to be blues that was what I would love the most. But even just watching that show, it's what inspired me to want to pick up the instrument.
Cool. And did you ever think that you were going to play something else, or was it always going to be the guitar?
No, there was never a question.
No.
Once I picked up the guitar, I just gravitated towards many different forms of blues. And then I also learned in the very beginning that I would hear songs that I would really like. And of course, it was probably around 1966, before I could really identify different artists. But I would hear B.B. King and Freddie King and numerous other artists. I would hear their songs that other artists had recorded, and I thought they maybe, like, I'd hear Eric Clapton record a Freddie King song, and I thought Eric Clapton wrote it, and of course later I found out no.
Right.
So once kind of backhandedly, I went back to the source, and realized this is where it's all coming from. And one of the most reoccurring comments of any bands that I've ever played with, and when I was a younger person, was always, "Well, man, you could play blues. That's what you should be doing." Well, that's all I intend on doing.
Yeah, that's great.
So 50 years later, I'm still doing it, still enjoying every minute of it. And
I had the great fortune to hear both B.B. King and Albert King when I was in New York, going back a few decades, because in my other life as a college student, I was the arts reviewer for my college newspaper. And so I got to hear in New York City some of all kinds of music, and blues being one of it, and of course rock and roll, and it was just this great thing. And unfortunately, I was the only one who had ever studied classical music, so they sent me to all the orchestral stuff. So I had this great music education, and I'll give you, so you can guess my age, because I was in there in the 60s, late 60s, and New York City was just so alive with every possible musical genre. So I hear what you're saying, and it was, I was a clarinet player, and an awful one. So, but I was inspired by being interested all my life in music, although not as a performer.
Well, in blues, and I have to throw this in blues, it's not so much whether the notes are so correct, but it's the inspiration, it's the feel, it's the realness, it's what's coming from inside you to give to the audience. And usually they know when it's real. A lot of people are really good musicians that are grammatically correct in their playing, but I'll use this as a perfect example. I was fortunate enough to open for B.B. King a number of times, and while we always did a nice job. He always asked, I hope you're going to be on the show with us tomorrow night, wherever we were. And without fail, every night, the man would come out, put his guitar on, hit one note, and the entire audience was at his feet because it was real. There's no question about it. And he's also was one of people of his stature, one of the nicest people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting.
Mm-hmm. Very great. So you want to give us another round of some great music?
Sure. You want to do Kansas City?
Sure.
All right.
This is an old, well, they're all old songs. This is something called Kansas City. I got some crazy little women. You know I'm gonna get me one. Well, I'll be standing on that corner with 12th Street in Vine. I'll be standing on that corner with 12th Street in Vine. With my Kansas City baby, my bottle of Kansas City wine. Well, I might take a train, I might take a plane. You know, if I'm gonna walk, I'll get there just the same. I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. I got some crazy little women. You know I'm gonna get me one.
And a lot of people have recorded that song in all kinds of musical genres, but that's probably the original. Who actually wrote Kansas City? Do you know?
I do, and it's escaping me at the minute.
Don't worry about it. But it's an old song, but just like with the blues and like folk music, I think it's the kind of thing where the next generation comes and defines it in its way. And so it takes a kind of a reshaping. It looks a little bit different. It's got the same roots, but it reflects the times. And of course, this is not the 1960s, so you're allowed to kind of have it change and evolve a little bit as long as it holds kind of like its root.
As long as it's real. You know, it's like the beauty of the music that we do is basically formulated around the idea that if you put your own personality into it, it keeps it legitimate.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I have a problem with things that are played just exactly like the record, so to speak. And I like to see the person's personality come out of it. And it's because it's creativity. Being a writer, you know, I like to hear that.
Okay. Yeah, a little more improvisation kind of thing?
Yes, because that's how I learned how to play. I mean, you know, I grew up while listening to blues all the time, but I grew up, you know, going to the Fillmore and the Capitol Theater, listening to the Allman Brothers and Santana and the Grateful Dead, and you know they were all influenced by John Coltrane and Miles Davis, using, you know, wonderful forms of improvisation in their playing. And I was kind of drawn to that because it was creative.
Right.
And I try to do that all the time. If you know, sometimes I'll say I was fortunate enough to be a sideman in some popular groups of the day. The band leader would always ask me to play the same solo exactly every night. And I said, I can't do that. I tried, but it didn't work.
Right.
So I got fired a couple of times, but it worked out okay.
Do you consider this kind of music to have the most ability to do improvisation, kind of put your style on it versus
blues and jazz?
Okay.
Jazz is probably a little bit more improv, but really, you know, blues, like Chris said, blues is where it all came from. It's all developed from that.
Certainly American music, absolutely.
Absolutely. If
And
there was no
Delta
blues,
sound,
there would be no rock, there'd be no jazz, there'd be, you know, it all fits together.
Right.
I'd love to interject there too for some people that might be out there watching that they have their plus one, maybe loves the blues, but they maybe have not dipped their toe in the water thinking that it's sad or that there's, you know, someone's done me wrong. Well, yeah, there is part of that, but I find that it's feel-good music that yes, you've been done wrong, but at the end of the song, there's that light at the end of the tunnel.
Right, I'm
You've
still
been reborn
standing
again.
Yeah.
So, you know, as the guys are playing, even here, it's hard to sit still because you really feel it. And I think George Porter Jr. is the one that coined the phrase, you know, it's good for the body and good for the soul.
Yeah.
And I absolutely, you know, feel that when you guys start playing. I also want to make sure we don't run out of time. I have a couple things that I want to mention.
Oh, absolutely. Go right to it.
Especially important because I know we get often asked questions. And one of the things your viewers might be interested in about is coolers, bringing coolers in. And that leads us into the fact that we have really worked hard this year to assemble a group of wonderful food trucks and chefs and vendors that will be there for you. So whether, you know, we're not allowing coolers because we really want people to avail themselves of these great people that are going to be, there's going to be terrific food, all sorts of choices, whether you are, you know, barbecue and blues or you are maybe a vegan, or we'll have you covered. Absolutely. So we want to welcome everyone. And again, maybe you'll be shopping because your plus one is at the front of the stage and you might actually follow your ear and find a new passion. So please know that we have many vendors, food, drinks, things to do. We also have, and I'm sure Chris can elaborate on the other stages that we have, the educational stage. But I do want to mention something wonderful. We have a dance floor. And I know there's a lot of dancers out there that go around to these festivals really for that purpose, to really get out there and cut it up. So
okay.
again, there's no problem dancing in the field and just getting up and shaking your groove thing. But if you are someone that likes to put on those cowgirl kicks and hit the dance floor, or cowboy boots or your dancing shoes, please know that we will have that for you as well.
Right. And it's open to children, adults, seniors, the whole thing.
Yeah, children 12 and under are free.
Oh, good. Okay.
And we want this to be a family-friendly event. We have at the North Stonington Fairgrounds, as Ali said, is beautiful.
So pretty.
And the folks in North Stonington have been really wonderful to us in this year leading up to putting the festival on. We hope that people can spend the day with us if they come on, for the whole day on Saturday. And there are things to do and see and listen to. The Spotlight stage features a lot of great local and regional musicians on the other side of the fairgrounds, and as Ali mentioned, the education stage, children and adult learners too. And I believe we'll have a couple of clinicians as well on the education stage. So there are things to do and see other than just the main stage, although most people are probably focused on
gravitating towards that, yes. So on the education, there's going to be someone kind of demonstrating how you play blues guitar, is that? I
don't think we have a blues guitar clinician per se, but we have a gentleman from the Mashantucket Museum who's coming, who is the director.
Okay.
And he does clinics on Native American music.
Wow.
And of course, Native Americans have contributed a lot to blues music as well.
Well, you don't think about that one as a connection.
Typically you don't, but I believe Charlie Patton was an American.
Yeah, in Ireland. You wouldn't think of Ireland and all the blues music that actually.
That's why it's American music, because it took all of us to make it.
Right. Of course, traditionally in one's mindset, you think of in evolution of American music, blues being kind of the Black American experience. So it's and it kind of evolved, and to some extent, maybe I'm wrong on this. It took someone like a Jerry Lee Lewis and an Elvis Presley to play what was really Black Delta blues in a kind of white rockabilly fashion that kind of opened up the interest for the vast majority of Americans.
For certain, it comes out of the African American experience. Field hollers, church music, the rhythms from Africa that they were bringing, that they were repressed, and they were expressing these feelings and ideas through musical means. And people of all races couldn't help to be moved by the things that they were hearing.
Right.
And so you have, all of this melting pot of influences, and Mr. Sam Phillips at Sun Studios was a person such like that who heard this music, was moved, and he brought in Howlin' Wolf. He brought in, you were mentioning some of the next generation of artists that he worked with, but initially his goal was to reach out and document, the African American blues musicians that he was hearing as a child growing up. Right.
So, but it has evolved so that, here we're talking about Connecticut. We're certainly not talking Mississippi or Tennessee. And it caught on. And so now it's not unusual to see people of all stripes and colors and ages picking up blues, if not as musicians, certainly as an audience and as listeners. And it's just it is a great American tradition. And it is rooted in our culture, and we've exported it. I mean, Eric Clapton is not an American, but he picked it up and
look how important it was to Eric Clapton, as a young person growing up in post World War II England, and to be touched by the music that he was hearing.
Right.
It's a message that's for everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, tell us again. Give us the highlights.
I will. And I'm just going to throw this in because as we're talking about it taking a village, I think it's perfect timing to mention our sponsors, which we're so thrilled to have this year. And I think the fact that we have Foxwoods on board this year, Chelsea Bank, the Guard has been supportive of us.
Okay.
I think as you see on our website, the whole listing of our sponsors, and of course we'll be speaking about them from stage and during the event. I think it says we see you and we support you. We like what you're doing. So I want to make sure we recognize them and keep them in mind as we go forward, because we've got big plans and we're really excited about this year. Again, August 12th, 13th, and 14th, we're going to be doing the kickoff on Friday evening. Gates will open at 4:30. On Saturday and Sunday, we will both days, the gate will be at 10:30.
Right.
Music will start about an hour or so later. Again, don't want to, if you've been partying all weekend, don't miss Crystal and the gospel.
Right.
Taking it on Sunday. Right. We want to make sure we see you there. And at the end of the conclusion of 2016 Mystic Blues Festival this year, the after party at the Knickerbocker
in Westerly, Rhode Island.
In Westerly, Rhode Island.
Right across the street from the Westerly the Amtrak train station.
Exactly.
So you can come from Boston and just hop on the train and come and see it all.
Yes, and we again invite you to go to mysticbluesfestival.com. And can I tell everyone where they can find me?
Yes, of course, of course.
Well, first of all, you can find me every day at the festival. I'm thrilled to be invited back to get to Emcee and be part of this wonderful event. But if I sound familiar, and I hope I do to a few of you out there, WCNI 90.9 FM, another nonprofit that we appreciate you supporting, Morning Mojo on Tuesday. So you've been hearing a lot of these artists all through, and I know there's a few songs, especially of Paul's, that I love playing. But we do, again, hope that you'll support us as well. Being a nonprofit, we're all about the passion of what we love to do and share. So thank you to the Mystic Blues crew. We hope we see everyone out there.
Sure. Now, we were talking off camera about there was another family group that you wanted to thank, the RV people.
Oh, my goodness. I absolutely do. They got on board with us. We, again, with the move to the fairgrounds, needed a green room for our artists. And especially when you see the caliber of these national touring bands, we needed something quick. All RV in East Hampton was absolutely wonderful to us, a family-owned business that has really stepped up and helped us build a beautiful backstage artist area. So I thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
Love to give them a shout out. We'll be mentioning them. And who knows, maybe we'll see more campers next year.
Okay.
Depending on how popular this year is.
See how it goes.
Well, would we like to perhaps, because we still have a little time, would you guys like to play us something else?
Sure. I think you could talk us into
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Perhaps some preview of what you guys might be presenting this weekend?
Potentially.
Possibly.
Okay.
All right.
One never knows.
Well, you ought to see my baby. You know that girl is so fine. Love me in the morning and every night. She's always on my mind. She got sugar-coated love. Yeah, sugar-coated love. She's a real born baby. I don't mean maybe she's mine. Well, I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to worry about clothes. I don't have to worry about anything. She's my baby, and goodness knows she got sugar-coated love. Yeah, sugar-coated love. She's a real born baby. I don't mean maybe she's mine. Take it, Paul. or you can take your pick of the others. Taking one you may choose. I'm holding on to this baby of mine, 'cause she got what I can use. She got sugar-coated love. Yeah, sugar-coated love. She's a real born baby. I don't mean maybe. She's mine. One more. You gotta go to sugar-coated loving. It's the best kind of love they got. It's the kind of love that makes an old man young, make the North Pole get real hot, and that's sugar-coated love. Yeah, sugar-coated love. She's a real born baby. I don't mean maybe. She's mine. Two more. She's a real born baby. I don't mean maybe. She's mine. She's a real born baby. I don't mean maybe. She's mine.
Oh, that is beautiful. I do hope you're going to play that this weekend. So, Mystic Blues Festival, this coming weekend, August 12th, 13th, and 14th. All beautiful music, all kinds of variety of that blues stuff.
Not just beautiful. We're going to get down and dirty with some fun. We're going to give you everything.
And you can dance the night away.
You can dance the night away. You can have a seat in your chair that's waiting for you. We are aiming to please. We really have a great feeling about this and really hope everyone will come and join us and be part of a really special 4th Mystic Blues Festival.
And of course, we're going to pray to the gods, all the gods, for good weather.
We don't say that. We're expecting good weather, and it's rain or shine. We don't even like using that word. And actually, I find that festivals with a little bit of cloud coverage is much more enjoyable.
Right,
but
adorable,
you know what?
Doesn't matter.
We got
Doesn't
you.
matter.
Come on out.
Enjoy bring the kids, bring everybody. And you can bring your own chair.
You absolutely can. A blanket, a chair. We have lots of room. Again, North Stonington Fairgrounds this year. I mean, so many people identify us with the shipyard. We're very proud of our history there. But this year, I think you're really going to be wowed by everything that we're offering. And the elbow room, hip shaking room. We got the Beehive Queen. We need room to shake our hips. Right. We got it.
This is completely outdoors, though, right? Because I know there are some buildings that are actually enclosed at the fairgrounds, but this is going to be all outside.
All outside.
Yeah.
Our venue is, we're going to have a 36 by 28 stage facing out into this great big beautiful field with the seating in front, premium seating in front, and then all the rest of it is lawn seating. Okay. Kind of like the experience you might have had going to Harkness Park in the 80s and 90s with summer music.
Okay, very good. Sort of like in its own kind of way, like one of the Newport festivals, the jazz and the folk festival, which they are famous for, which is outside, which I've attended in good weather and bad. But it's okay because if the music is hot, everything is irrelevant, right?
It makes the weather go away.
Exactly. When it's really hot and it's 85, 90 degrees, a little shower actually makes it feel really, really good.
And the forecast for this weekend actually is looking really good.
That's wonderful. So drive on to the North Stonington Fairgrounds.
And that's perfect you said that because that's something else we're super proud of. If you had attended before and you had to deal with a shuttle, which worked out, but a lot of people aren't thrilled by that. Not this year. It's parking and you walk right in. There's no shuttle. We're right there.
The fairgrounds has a lot of available, and it's free parking, I gather.
It's $5 parking for the festival, but you know, if you go to Foxborough to see a football game or any other concert event, you're paying a tremendous amount of money to park your car, and this is partially to cover our costs.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right, we say one more time, the 12th, the 13th, the 14th. Give us just, again, a little rundown on just the stars for each night.
Well, of course, we think they're all stars, and we know they're all stars in their own right. But of course, we are over the moon about the fabulous Thunderbirds that we'll have on Friday night headlining.
Okay.
On Saturday, Dr. John and the Night Trippers, the King of New Orleans Funk. And on Sunday, our headliner will be Dumpster Funk with, of course, the Neville Brothers and well, I'm sorry, not the Neville Brothers. There's Ian Neville.
They're Offspring.
Yeah, let me stop right there for a second. But
They're
that
Offspring.
name is probably what you'd identify with them.
Right.
But all details can be found at mysticbluesfestival.com. And we would love to not only see you there or fill you in, and maybe you might even want to, you know, join in and get with us some way next year and help us go towards 2017.
All right, very good. And Allie, give yourself a plug there for your radio station.
Thank you. Morning Mojo on WCNI New London, 90.9 FM. And not just myself, everyone at WCNI, we are so passionate about what we bring to our 3-hour platform. So we do hope you'll tune in and join us. And I hope you will now do me the pleasure of coming over and interviewing with me.
Yes, I'll make a plan.
All right.
So that's college radio.
Yes.
That's the
nonprofit
Connecticut College Radio. Very good.
Yep.
Very good. So we have just a few minutes. Can you give me just a few couple of minutes of closing music? And we'll actually close out with your music.
All right. B flat with a 2-5?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you, Harriet.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
This is improvising. Go to it.
All right. Key of G.
Okay.
Slow blues.
Okay.
So this is Harriet Grayson, your host and the producer of Community Culture Showcase. I hope you are jamming and loving every second of this, and I hope everyone listening to this stuff will go and get yourself to the Music Blues Festival here this weekend on the North Stonington Fairgrounds. Check it out. MysticBluesFestival.com. I love it. Guys, good luck.
Thank you, Harriet.
And it's been a pleasure to hear you guys play. So hopefully get everybody out this weekend and get yourself filled up with that beautiful blues music.